Hello, good evening and welcome back to In the Know, the live and interactive Aintree preview show brought to you by the Racing Post and Coral on day 3 of Aintree to come. But before we get on with the racing action, first things first, we offer our condolences to the royal family after the sad passing of Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, at the age of 99 today. Of course, the Queen and the royal family have all been wonderful supporters of the racing game over the course of several decades, and our thoughts and feelings are with them on today, a very sad day indeed. But we do have, of course, a big day to look forward to tomorrow. So we will move on and we will have a look at Aintree Day 3. And we'll also look back at Aintree Day 2 as well. Of course, it's been a fairly dramatic afternoon over on Merseyside, and it's going to be a fairly dramatic afternoon on Saturday as well. And a huge race and a huge betting race as well. Everyone at home watching on their TVs and maybe listening on the radios like old time. And the Grand National is sure to be a huge event tomorrow. We'll be having a look at that. And of course, there are 3 more Grade 1s and plenty of other races besides as well. We've also had a pretty good day in the studio in terms of tips and winning selections, although the man to my left might well be cursing the starter after the Topham cost Paul Kealy a huge price winner. And Paul, you were screaming at home, Pink Eye Pedro, and you were beaten by the one you thought might beat you.
Well, this is it. You know, I'm the king of jumping off horses. Sky Pirate and the Grand Annual, Editor to Geek. I've been following all year. That wins yesterday, and you know it's been a 2-year plan to back Live, Love, Laugh for the Topham because there obviously wasn't a race last year. But when I looked at the prices, he's too short for me. So I jumped on Pink Eye Pedro, back him at all rates from hundreds down. And yeah, he gets beat by Live, Love, Laugh. I mean, that's life, isn't it? I wouldn't, you know, the start was a pain, but I don't think that actually cost him. You know, he just wasn't quite good enough. He Live, Love, Laugh skipped round there and he went away again at the end. So no complaints on that score. Some other unlucky results of the day. Espada Rome falling when in front. I'm not entirely certain he'd have held on, but he obviously would have been very close. And Mr. Coffee didn't get the best run through, did he?
No, he didn't. So, Paul, we'll go back through a few of those races. Tom Segal is at home as well. We'll get to him. He's had a fantastic day. And I know plenty of people have backed his selections at decent prices. And Simon Clare will be giving us the lowdown about the betting the biggest betting race of the entire year. But we're talking about the biggest bet of the biggest betting race of the entire year. And we have online now the jockey on the biggest favourite we've had in the biggest betting race of the year for quite some time. Cloth Cap is red hot at the top of the betting, and in the saddle tomorrow will be Tom Scudamore, who joins us on the line. Good evening, Tom.
Good evening. How are you? Okay.
I'm very well. How are you? Nervous at all?
Not at the moment.
When do the nerves kick in?
My mum's cooking. Other than that, we're all right.
I see you've got a whole cupboard full of silks behind you there, including those of Do Your Job, who ran an absolute stormer today, and of course, Lucinda Russell trained a Grade 1 winner as well with the help of another Scudamore. It's been a good day if your surname is Scudamore.
Yeah, hopefully it'll continue to tomorrow as well. Do Your Job ran a fantastic race. Delighted for his connections, and Dad and Lucinda had a great day too. So that was it was a fabulous day. I say Michael was a bit frustrated to hit the crossbar, but Brendan gave him a great ride, and it nearly was a fairy tale result.
In terms of your personal involvement at Aintree this week, it's been fairly quiet. You've only had 2 rides, Adagio and Cakeson, and at some point you must have thought that either of those could have won. Yeah,
start off with Adagio, ran a great race. Mistake at the last. Whether we'd have beaten Monreal, I don't know. I don't think so. I think the mistake has probably exaggerated the distance by which we were getting beat. But it was there to be jumped and we didn't jump it. Simple as that. So it was frustrating when he ran another cracking race. It's been very hard for the horses who we've seen all the last 2 days to back up from Cheltenham. He nearly did it, and he's a horse with a big future. And Kate's son loves it round Aintree, ran another big race.
There is one race on everyone's lips, though, of course, the Grand National tomorrow. Tom and Cloth Cap, who you have struck up an incredible partnership with this season, starting off with at Newbury, of course, and then following up at Kelso last time out. And he's not the first horse this year. You've struck up a nice rhythm from the front, and you two seem to get on very well.
Yeah, we're unbeaten so far, so hopefully that'll last for another just under 24 hours. Would be great. Yeah, he's when I rode him in the Ladbroke, John was very sweet in his chances, and he did how it looked, jumped and burned and ran them ragged, and he's done the same really at Kelso the next time. So it's been a very nice association to have, and I'm very grateful that they gave me the leg up.
We've seen over the national fences so far this week that it is very important indeed to be out there on the speed, and you've got the right horse in that regard. What is your plan as you're down there at the start? Is it do you have to be out there, or will be shouting at the jockeys to give you a bit of space early?
I don't think that's going to make much difference how much I do at the others. Look, I just concentrate and get in a good start, line up where I want to line up from, and go from there. And the Grand National is slightly different, that you have to think on your feet. Say 40 runners, you have to be adaptable, and you have to, it's silly as it sounds, you're using all the cliches, but you really are taking it from fence to fence, because, as we can see, so much has changed over the years, and so much happens from fence to fence. You've got to be aware of everything around you, and I think that's the key. You've got to go out there and be really, really aware, more so than even normal.
This is, of course, a live and interactive show. Plenty of people will have backed Cloth Cap from all sorts of prices down, and we've got a couple of comments in here. Patrick Brosnan says, who is Tom most afraid of in the National? Yeah, are you looking at the race and worrying about who you've got to beat, or are you just concentrating on the horse that you're on board? I'm
concentrating on the one I'm riding, really. You have to be so good to get into the Grand National these days. In order to have an entry, you've got to be rated over 130, and on top of that, the bottom rated is always in the low 140s. So it shows you what a tough competitive race this is. So you've got to respect every single horse in there. But again, looking through it, the Irish have been so strong recently. You've got to respect all their horses. Burrow Saint was an Irish national winner. Any second now was able to win a Kim Muir, drop back to the minimum trip last time and win. There's so much strength and depth. It's going to be another cracking race, but I'll be concentrating on myself.
Okay, Tom. Now Simon Clare from Coral joins us, and of course Tom is a Coral representative, and it's a nice bit of advertising for the brand, of course. But also you're a bit of a racing history aficionado, and there's a lot of history involved.
There is, and to be fair, I've learnt the history from Tom and Peter, because Tom, we'll ask Tom to elaborate, but the Scudamore relationship with the Grand National goes back a long way. I think even further than Michael, actually. But Michael, Tom's granddad, won the Grand National on Oxo in 1959. Peter, I believe, bought a Summit. Is that right, Tom? And obviously was assistant trainer, which is incredible. But I think just tell us that story about Peter's involvement in Earth Summit, because I didn't realise that him and your granddad bought Earth Summit.
Yeah, that's correct. Dad, towards the end of his career, had a bloodstock company with Grandad, and they bought Earth Summit as a store horse from Jim Old, and the rest is history. So when Dad retired, they got him into training with Nigel Twister Davis, who Dad was a business partner with and assistant trainer too. So Earth Summit played a huge part of my early childhood, and no doubt a little bit towards my education too.
And you tell some lovely stories. We did speak, obviously, for some content for Coral about your granddad always reminded people that he'd won the Grand National when Peter hadn't. So this is sort of repeated reference.
It was more of a case of if we all go somewhere as a family, Dad would be introduced, or if we went to a function or something like that where both Dad and Grandad were there, and there'd be all these luminaries and things, Peter Scudamore, the champion jockey, and the first thing they'd always ask him was, how many times have you won the Grand National? He'd say never, and which Grandad would point out, I've won the Grand National, and with that they'd all move over and want to speak to Grandad. At the time, the most successful jockey of all time. He'd go and get the drinks for everybody else that was listening to Grandad's stories.
Okay, so of course the weight of history is upon you then, as if you didn't need any more pressure ahead of the biggest race. Just before we go, are you going to, Paul?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask one question. I mean, I'm of the opinion that Clough Cap really does like decent ground. They're sticking another 6 mil on tonight, I've just seen, which is twice as much as they put on that last night. Would that worry you at all?
Not really. It is what it is. It is what it's got to be. I wouldn't mind too much if it's a really nice, sunny, windy day tomorrow and the race goes off at 5:15. It's right out a bit. But look, what can you do? That's what they feel they have to do. We go there. He's in good form. I can't control those things. That's up to other people to go and do. So it'll be what it'll be.
Absolutely. Well, you're on the right horse. You've got the right trainer, the right owner, the right surname. Everything looks in place, Tom. And we wish you the very best of luck for the big race tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Good luck, Tom.
Good luck. Good luck.
Tom Scudamore, then the jockey of Clough Cap, the red-hot favourite for the Grand National 2021. And as one Tom departs, who needs a Grand National jockey when you've got an Aintree and Grand National tipster in his living room at home as well? Tom Segal joins us.
I think most of them prefer the Grand National jockey, Ross, if I'm honest.
I don't know. Some of the comments we've had about the 66-1 winner, Tom, I think they're happy to see your face again.
Well, it's funny. We were talking earlier, weren't we? It's a funny thing because I didn't tip it in the paper, but tipping and betting and talking about horses is a very different game. When you've got to do one horse, you sort of get forced into doing one or the other. But I hope few people backed it. I had a very small bet on it. Well, I'll tell you, I had 20 quid on it, and it was good, wasn't it? It never looked like it was going to be beaten, and I was quite surprised at the price really because a couple came out and didn't look like the strongest race to me. I didn't love the Albert Bartlett form, and that proved right. And job's a good one, as they say.
Absolutely. Ahoy Senor then wins at 66-1. And of course, the best system this week, Tom, has been the I've given up on this horse system, and Belfast Banter was another winner for that.
Oh, it was a nightmare, wasn't it? Belfast Banter. Yeah. Oh God, I don't know what to. I know Keels and me are the same. When you do this job, you get attached to horses and you get opinions about horses, and it's very hard to get it out of your head. I backed Belfast Banter at Musselburgh, Ascot in Ireland one time, and he came there exactly the same way and didn't go through with it on any occasion. Now the ground was totally different; it was soft, so you just get this attachment to horses. And when horrible to say, when you feel they've done you a bad turn, it's very hard to get it out of your mind, and so you just keep forgetting with it. You give up with them, and then all of a sudden, as soon as you start giving up, like Keel said about Editor Geet and all those other ones, they start winning, and it's incredibly frustrating. So I wouldn't have liked to have been my cat during the running of that race, that's for sure.
It's also hard, isn't it, to start to like a horse who you've been opposing but's been winning as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? You stay
Never
the same way. I can't get on this horse. I'm sure I was right. As it goes up the handicap by 3 stone.
I think the worst thing, and I've just done it, is the worst thing if people go, oh, you tipped me that horse a few times, didn't you? And you go, yeah, but I've given up on it now. I haven't backed it.
Yeah, you backed it, but I didn't.
Yeah, exactly that. Which is a bit like, there's another one. I said to you last night, do your job 25-1, and realised I hadn't backed it at 25-1, and it was 14s, and you'd done that, and then so it's been quite a day. In terms of the performances, we'll move on to tomorrow very quickly, but just quick words on Fakir Udari and Chantry House. Of course, Chantry House, I won't say a fortunate winner necessarily, we don't know that, but the winner of the Melling, Fakir Udari, absolutely bolted up, Tom.
Yeah, we had the question last night, didn't we? What would you do about Cheltenham winners coming back? And I think there were three winners, weren't they? 4 were there today that had run at Cheltenham. It's very difficult. It's very difficult to know. I thought Fakir Udari was really, really impressive. I think the race fell apart a bit. Politolog's probably not the force he was of old. I don't know what happened to Master Tommy Tucker, and my old friend Drasher didn't turn up for some reason I can't work out. So it probably wasn't the greatest race, but he deserved it, didn't he? He's run top races against top horses, and he's probably just a little bit better than them.
And he's 6 years old as well, which is remarkable. If he's winning races like that at 6 years old, then 7 and 8 should be very good seasons for him. Others to mention, Roland Ward, of course, well backed to win the last, and the only Irish horse in the first race. They've won pretty much all the handicap hurdles apart from that last race. And Tronador, well back last night, drifts out, bolts up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was a strange one. We were saying, if you looked at it on form, and it was trained by anyone in Britain, even Nichols or Henderson, it would have been 22-1, wouldn't it? Yeah. You know what I mean? Because if you look at what it had done, you think, no, can't have that. So bookmakers are thinking, well, rightly, they won every single handicap hurdle at Cheltenham. You better stick this one in short. Nobody wanted it. In it goes.
Yeah.
It's probably a great result for the books in the end.
It was in the end. It was, and I mean, how many winners did they have on the day in the end? Was it
Five?
four?
Four or five?
Four winners. The Irish. I mean, another great day for them. As I said, I thought it was a good call, Tom, yesterday when it looked to be pointing against the Cheltenham form. And you said it's always dangerous to read too much from a very small sample. And today they were all banging in Chantry House, Fakir Belfast Banter. So. And it was one of those days where we started well for bookies, then the middle part was ugly. You know, everyone was back in Chantry House and Fakir there and Live, Love, Laugh. And then that cracking winner, a hoist in your 61. Thanks for Tom Segal's tip. And Roland Ward wasn't too bad a result. So I think it's all set fair going to day 3.
Absolutely. And Rob, our producer, said we were going to put the social comments saying ahoy to Tom, but there were too many of them. So I think plenty of people have got some money in their accounts to play with going into day 3. Now, of course, the big race is the Grand National, and it is an absolutely cracking renewal. And we will get to that very shortly, but we're going to give that a good chunk of time towards the end of the show. But again, it's not just a one-race meeting. So we will have a look at the other races on day 3 of the Aintree Grand National Festival. And we start off here with a handicap hurdle over just over 3 miles. And 22 of them line up for the opener tomorrow. And T Clipper is 13-2 at the top of the betting here. Come on, Teddy, 7-1. Champagne Platinum is 9-1. Hometown Boy, 10-1 with Jaffroy. That's definitely not how you pronounce it, but I'm sure someone will do it better. Southfield Harvest at 10s. Ballybeg at 11s. And 11-1 bar those. First things first, Simon, how many places are we going?
We are going. Good question. I'll come back to that.
OK, very well. While Simon works that out, I'll come to you first, Paul, because we've got plenty of Cheltenham Festival form here.
We have, yeah. I mean, it's funny. We were talking yesterday when we were looking at the card, and I said to you, I fancy 2, and they were T Clipper and I've forgotten the name of it now. The other one down the bottom. I'll get to it. No, we'll come to that in a minute. This is pathetic.
It's a good start.
Kid Commando. Kid Commando. I mean,
Yes.
2 horses stepping up in trip.
Yeah.
And I spent all last night looking at it and this morning, and I came up with something else entirely, which was Southfield Harvest. Now, he does quite interest me. He was allowed to be a novice on into November because he won his first maiden in February last year, and obviously we had that COVID break. He ran a really good race at Newby last time. He's either still very green or he didn't quite go through with it because he looked like he was coming through to win at the last. But it was a good race, a good run, and I think it would have taught him plenty. And Paul Nicholls has put some cheek pieces on, which obviously he did with Clanders Oboe. If they work as well as that, it's game over. I mean, they probably won't. But the interesting thing is that he's got 3 siblings: Southfield Royal, Southfield Vic, Southfield Theatre. And 2 of those ran all their best races in headgear, and they were all rated. They all reached a peak rating of at least 149. So if he does improve for them, he's probably got a bit of mileage in him off a mark of 138. I quite liked him. I am going to sling a couple of quid each way on the old boy. You know what I mean, Harry, from the top of the weights. He's only £1 higher than when he won a race here in November. That makes him 2 from 4 at the track, and he's got Kevin Brogan on again. Taking £5, and I didn't think he ran that badly in the Pertemps.
And Harry Fry's having winners again.
Yes, definitely, yes. So he could be, he could run well at a price, but I do really do quite like the look of Southfield Harvest. Is there a possibility? I mean, it was his first run since Boxing Day. Is there a possibility he blew up a little bit as well? A couple of months off. Yeah, it is possible, but he's had almost the same off this time. We just hope they've kept him busy. He was going to run. I don't know why he was a non-runner in the Pertemps. It was just self-certificate. So I couldn't tell you why, but it can't have been that serious if he's back out.
No, it was a good swerve as well, given how the Irish challengers fared at the festival. Tom, there is 22 of them going to post here. What stood out for you?
The Irish horses.
There you go. Yeah, it's been a winning system so far.
Yeah, funnily enough, there's one Whirling Dervish that's still trained in Ireland, but the one I like is stands like a character from Star Wars, Barna Viduan. David Bridgewater down the bottom. He won a handicap at Naas, I think it was, when we last saw for Tom Mullins. That form has worked out like gangbusters. Back in 9th was a horse we'll talk a lot about later, Any Second Now. In 8th was Dandy Mag that won at Leopardstown. The second horse, Damalisk, went on to hack up by 8 lengths next time. It is rock solid form. He's left to join David Bridgewater. Dave Bridgewater had had a lot of success with the conditional, who he bought out of Ireland as well. He's just an interesting horse. It represents the Irish handicap form, this horse, and I wonder whether it's been sort of the plot to come over here, to get into to win this race. He's very, very interesting. That form is really, really solid. So I'm sticking with the tried and trusted, go for the Irish and go for him, Barna Vidwan.
Yeah, he was fourth to Hannon as well at Gorham Park, wasn't he? And fifth was Bold Enough, who ran well earlier on. And the winner, Hannon, ran a really good race in the Temps qualifier at Leopardstown. So it's all that right kind of form, isn't it? Yeah,
and that last run where he won, he was really impressive. There was a lot of money for Damalik that day. It was a JP McManus horse, and I think they were expecting him to win. And he went on next time and won I think it was a grade B handicap by a long way, very, very easily. I just think the form's rock solid. I just think clearly the Irish handicap form's better than ours. If the money's for him and if he's quite strong tomorrow, I would be very keen on him. Obviously, we haven't seen him since November, so there's a chance things have turned around. And obviously, he's been sold out of Thomas Mullin's yard, so either they paid a lot of money for him or something could have gone wrong. I don't know those details, but if the money comes from tomorrow, I'd be very keen on him.
Yeah, we've also got Whirling Dervish, of course, an Irish challenger for Johnny Levins, who was seventh in the Cesarewitch for Gavin Cromwell and won last time out as well. Has a bit of an air of a heaven help us in terms of finally finding its form at the right time. And you mentioned T-Clipper. I thought T-Clipper, good ground, spring form, big field. This looks ideal for T-Clipper.
Yeah, it could well be. I just came to the conclusion that they all got the run of the race from the front of the Coral Cup, didn't they? And he was one of those that was up there. And I thought, well, was it really a strongly run race? No. Was he that strong at the finish? He was okay, but he's got to stay the trip, hasn't he?
He has, absolutely. For Tom Lacey and Rachel Blackmore at 13-2, top of the betting. Simon, has there been any market moves, and what did you like when you looked at this race?
Yeah, 5 places we're paying, by the way.
There we go.
I found out. T-Clip has been well backed the last sort of 24 hours or since we put up the prices. He's only had the 7 starts. I thought he ran really well in the Coral Cup. Obviously, I like that form, giving response to the race. But no, it was a good run. He was slightly hampered at the last. Janika, also a bit of money for him. He ran 5th, I think, in the race. Still very well handicapped on.
You backed him.
I did back him. So I've got to stick with him.
Yeah.
But it's a really good race. There's been bits of money for Ashtown Lad for Dan Skelton's yard. Had wind surgery since bombing behind when the Cobb won at Doncaster. I just read from somewhere that Harry Skelton was quite bruised after his fall in the second last today. So we've got to keep an eye, just make sure he's.
It's funny. Start of last season, we did a jumps annual, race post jumps annual, and Janika was one of my horses to follow, and it was I can't wait for this horse to step up to 3 miles, and he returned in the Halden Gold Cup and ran over 2 miles. Might even been the season before last, in fact. And this is the first time he goes up to 3 miles. So maybe they have got it right. He is on my shortlist.
I want to know though, if you don't back him, I will. The system is absolutely rock solid.
No, it's a great race though. Even the Tizzards haven't had the best meter, but Oscar Elite did run well today, and they've got a couple. Reserve Tank looks a lot shorter than he should be. He won a Grade 1 here, obviously. Reserve Tank. He's not had a great season. He was miles behind in the stayers, but. He's 14 to, I thought, Vision to Flow, who should have won a Grade 1 at Punchtown, but for making a mistake at the last. And, beat Royal Pagaille in a novice chase. I didn't even remember that. He beat him by 12 lengths a couple of years ago on 2 miles 7 on heavy, so the trip ain't a problem. But, I'm a bit of a Tizzard fan. We sponsor the yard, so I'd probably, might have a few quid on Vision to Flow at big price. But it's a good race.
Okay, just to reiterate what we're going for. Tom, Segal. Sorry, I've done it again. You've done it again. Just tell us what you fancy.
Barna Vidwan, but I urge Keels to stick with that kid Commando. I think he's crying out for 3 miles. I couldn't believe the price when I saw him. I didn't do this race. It wasn't a price-wise race, this, so I hadn't cottoned on to the fact that he was 25 to 1. I think that's a ridiculous price. I think he'll run really well at 3 miles.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's one I've jumped off, so
there we are.
Pay close attention. I do like Sourfield Harvest best.
Okay, Simon?
Honestly, this is the sort of race you end at home 5 bets in, isn't it? It's ridiculous because you see so many you'd like to back, but I'm going to stick with Janika because I think we've learned today you need to stick with these horses, and I'll have a few quid each way on Vision to Floss.
Okay, very well. And I'll just have one. I just think T-Clipper is going to run a big race under ideal conditions for the opener tomorrow at Aintree. Moving on then from a big field handicap hurdle here to a 2.5 mile novices hurdle. The Mersey novices hurdle, Grade 1, and My Drogo is 7-4 favourite. Ballyadam 11-4. Dreal Deal is 6-1. Manila Drama 11s with Pipe Smoker. 16s Gargy Dreams and Adramel is 18s. It's 18-1 and bigger the rest of those here. And Tom, we were talking about novice hurdle form, and the Irish have the best horses, and you said that by far the best British novice hurdler skipped Cheltenham, and here he is.
I love My Drogo, Ross. He's my horse. I'm just going to be following him till the cows come home. I thought, look, the Kelso form's very good, isn't it? The time is really, really good, the Kelso time. He beats the horse that ran second in the race today, didn't he? Do your job?
He did, do your job, yep.
Yeah, I just think he's the best novice this side of the Irish Sea, and it's not close. The problem is he's taking on two really good Irish horses, and from what we've seen so far, we can't compete. So I still think My Drogo will win because I think he's really top class. He's the one horse I've backed for next year's Cheltenham Festival. I backed him to win the Marsh Chase at 40-1. He's the only bet I've had. I'm hoping he's just got Chaser written all over him, and I just think he's really good. So I'm hoping he wins. But Ballyadam's got the best form. He has to have the best form. He's a Grade 1 winner, and he was second in the Supreme. I think he's a danger, and the Real Deal is absolutely phenomenal. He's just a winning machine, and judging by the market last time, he wasn't expected to win. I know they've had a few problems with their horses, Ronan McNally, but he's bringing him over, and he's very dangerous too. He's got a lot of the talent, that horse. I think they'll go back on the flat and rack up about 5 wins on the flat with him as well. I love My Drogo. I think he'll win, and I really hope he wins because we've got to have a horse to cheer for this side of the Irish Sea next year.
Yeah, absolutely. My Drogo, he's got size, strength, stamina, speed.
He has, yeah. No point in going over everything that Tom said. I mean, but Dan Skelton, made a decision a long while before Cheltenham that he wasn't going there. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly how good he is, and they're minding him for a chase career. And so they'd rather come here than in a hard race at Cheltenham. It's probably the right move, and yeah, I think he's very, very good.
What's overpriced in the race, if anything?
He is at 7-4, probably.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, he'd probably go off shorter.
Yeah?
Yeah, I could see that, yeah. I could definitely see the money coming for him.
Okay, simple as that then. My Drogo, yeah, I absolutely love the horse. The form, if the form is that good though, gents, I thought Llandonabo Lad might be a little bit big. He did a lot of the running at Ascot and split My Drogo and Soaring Glory. He beat Do Your Job at Haydock before that by 4.5 lengths. So if that's the right form line, I think 25. I think
22.
22 too long. You sure you don't?
22 with Coral.
Can I have 25s?
You don't realise that Simon does the markets while we're talking about this.
Yes. He's just shaved 3 points.
The traders are cutting the prices.
So I thought he could be interesting.
Yeah.
But My Drogo being quite well backed.
7-4, yeah, very solid. I mean, the Henry de Bromhead form is a concern, isn't it? One winner in 40 runs. Many of them, most of them not getting close, actually. I think bold enough.
The handicap hurdler on well enough.
Yeah. But Ballyadam, 11-4, representing strong form. That Supreme, that Appreciate It form. But he's weak in the betting. My Drogo's strong. A bit of money for Pipe Smoker, who had place form behind Chantry House in 2019 and a second to Sporting John. But I mean, again, it feels like that's clutching at straws. So I think
he might have won at Sundown. He ploughed through the last, and
right, yeah.
I think they gave up a little bit. But there's been a lot of good talk about him over the past year or so.
So he might run well at a price given the money, but it's hard to believe he's going to pop up and beat these two at the front. Well, the three at the front of the market.
Okay, My Drogo for Tom. My Drogo for Paul.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll go for My Drogo with Llandonabo Lad as well. And Simon?
I'm going to go for My Drogo. I might point out, I actually rode Striking a Pose on the Gallops back in September.
Well, if you have the look that your daughter did on those two Andy Irvine horses the other day.
He actually won a couple of races since, but he was pulled up last time. So yeah, so I think, but he's trained he's owned by a friend of mine. So I hope he runs well, but I think it's a tall order tomorrow.
Okay, speaking of tall orders, let's move on to the Maggle Novices Chase here. And a tall order for 4 horses that have decided to turn up and take on the best British horse in trading. Pretty much. Shishkin is 1-6 here. Gumball 12-1. Funambule Sivol is 14s. Elvis Mail is 18-1. Longhouse Sale at 20-1. The outsider of the lot. This won't take much previewing, Paul.
Well, no point in wasting any time, really, is there? Unless he fails to get round or the jockey falls off, then he wins, doesn't he? I just want to ask Simon, do you have punters that will go steaming in at 6 on?
We do. There are players who like to play, and over the years, David Johnson. Do you remember David Johnson? He was a great friend, and he almost enjoyed, on some of those odds-on shots in Wimbledon semi-finals. He much preferred it. It was because he was also a businessman. He quite enjoyed the idea of backing horses to nick a.
Right.
So there are players out there who almost prefer that.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's wrong.
No, it's just it's mad, isn't it?
It doesn't suit me at all.
So I saw actually there was some what do you call it, blue across the Oscar comparison sites. This is shortening to 1-8 from 1-6. And again, that's probably the market itself, but must be maybe trading on exchanges as well. It's.
I remember at Cheltenham, we sat here going 1-2. This should be 1-5, and then after two fences it was pretty much. And so again, if you're looking at it and percentage-wise, if you're thinking,
yes, that's exactly right. But it's not it's not the way we play. Obviously, no. Shishkin's 6-4 for next year's champion chase, already a dominant favourite. If you look at the others in the betting, 7 Allaho. Probably won't necessarily go back in trip. 8, Put the Kettle on the Raiding Champ. 14, Chacon Poursoir. 14, Energy. So, he shouldn't shorten in the champion chase betting by winning tomorrow, unless he's absolutely spectacular. But you wouldn't. It's the sort of the book you might nick him into 5-4 just to annoy everyone.
Shishkin, then who finishes second, Tom?
Oh, any of them. They're all about the same, aren't they? I don't know. Daylight, as they say. Yeah. Shishkin will just win, barring accidents. I like Gamble as a horse. He runs flat, jumps, hurdles, chases. I'd like him to finish second and run well for Philip Hobbs. So I'll go for him. But it's really all about whether he jumps around, isn't it?
Absolutely. Shishkin then is 1-6 for the Mangle Novices Chase. Let's move on because we've got plenty more to talk about on the final day of Aintree, including a pretty strong renewal of the Stayers Hurdle here as Time Hill makes his reappearance after the setback that put him out of the Cheltenham Festival. He's 9-4. Paisley Park is 3-1. Roxana is 11-2. Lisnagar Oscar is 10-1. Third Wind at 16-1 with Diol Kerr, 18-1 Vindication and 20-1 Bar Those. This looks like a good renewal, Tom. And before Cheltenham, Time Hill and Paisley Park were vying for favouritism. And since then, people have thought Time Hill didn't go, Paisley Park got beat, so Time Hill must be better. Is it that simple?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I think this is a good race for a bet because I don't really like the top of the market. They've all got question marks against them, haven't they? Paisley Park looks like a real strong stayer now. I'm not sure 3 miles round Aintree on good ground is going to be perfect for him. I'm quite happy to take him on under the conditions. Roxana had a hard race at Cheltenham. She won this race before, but she's had a long, hard season. I don't think she was at her best at Cheltenham. Time Hill obviously missed Cheltenham through. I don't think the injury was too bad, but the English horses got completely wiped out, didn't they, in the Stayers Hurdle? I think it was 5 of the first 7 home were Irish horses. Lisnagar Oscar fell too early to say anything, but he took a hard fall. So I'm looking at something different. I quite like a couple of big prices. Third Wind, who isn't that far behind the others on the best of his form. I thought he put up an improved effort at Haydock last time. I thought he won really easily. I know he was getting a bit of weight from Lisnagar Oscar, but I thought he got there easily and idled in front. I thought him at a big price. I think he's around 16-1. I thought he was a good bet. And just being Irish, I would be wary of the 2 Irish. There's one. The one I've backed is Diol Kerr for the sponsors Ryanair. He's got all his form is on heavy ground, so I'm sort of sitting there thinking, why the hell is he running? But Noel Meade knows that. They know that. They must think he's better on this kind of ground. He was second in the Galmoy hurdle to a horse that Keels tipped up, actually, Sam's Profile. But he ran really well. He might have been a bit unlucky that day. It sort of got going a bit late. And I just could see him running really well. I mean, Noel Meade had the 4th in the Stayers Hurdle, so I expect him to run well. And don't rule out a big run from Decor Elon Day as well, the other Irish horse who has been crying out for good ground. He seems to do a lot of his racing on soft ground. He is a really good traveller. If you're interested in betting in running, have a few quid on him because he will travel into the race. The question is whether he quite gets home over 3 miles. So that's why I'm slightly worried about him. But I think it's a good race for a bet. I've backed Third Wind and Diol Kerr, and I will be sniffing around Decor Elon Day at huge prices as well.
Yeah, he went right in the notebook last time out. I thought it was going to be a handicap next time out because he said he just come swinging and then lost about 3 places on the running behind Beacon Edge. So he's very interesting. They're going for this race. And just a quick word on the favourite, of course, Time Hill. Philip Hobbs he's desperate for winners.
Yeah, exactly. And he was unlucky with one on the last day, wasn't he? Just got
he was.
pegged back on the line. So you can't stay there running that. At least some are running well.
But what do you fancy against him?
Well, I'm going to take them on. I mean, they both set the standard, Paisley Park, Time Hill. There's no two ways about that, is it? But they no longer, or at least Paisley Park no longer sets a standard that is out of reach. Like, where it was 2 years ago, you'd say he was out of reach, and he isn't now. I'm like Tom. I was tossing up between two, so DL Kerr will win, because I decided not to tip two in this race and only to tip one, and that one was third win. So, and I see DL Kerr has actually been really well backed this afternoon, isn't he? Like, because he was a much bigger price. So he's only 12s with Coles now. But no, I do like third win. I think he's another strong traveller. He loves, he clearly loves a flat track. It was always the plan to come here rather than go to Cheltenham. He never even got an entry in the Stayers Hurdle at Cheltenham. And I think he's going to run very well. And the key to this as well is, you might be having two strong horses at the top of the market, but everyone, including Corals, is offering 4 places. So it's well worth an each way play.
Okay, and 4 places on this,
Yes.
and if you the front two do take a lot of the market out of it.
They do, and I mean, again, a bit like the Stayers Hurdle, it's a really deep race in behind the front of the market, as it was that day. And DL Kerr's been backed, third win's been well backed. Bits of money for If the Cap Fits, who won the race 2 years ago. Harry Fry team back in form.
The last 5 defending champions that were in this race have won. So,
I can see him going well.
And he fits the trends of Paul tipped him at Cheltenham, so if he's abandoned him now,
Get on!
it's the best system.
Yeah, and he's got form on this sort of ground, and this is.
Hey, listen, his chase form, the level he ran to, considering the way he jumped, was pretty high.
Yeah, that's right.
So just the ability is still there.
He beat Fiddler on the Roof. He was there around Shamblew, and
The Fiddle on the Roof was about the only time he jumped well, though, wasn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he ran to a similar level by jumping badly. So he's a decent horse. Yeah.
I mean, Vindication jumped very big at Cheltenham first time over hurdles. He's got the first time blinkers on. The Kim Bailey team running well. Unlucky today with a great performance in the novice chase. So I mean, but there was a bit of money for Vindication earlier, but it seems to be drifting back out to one at 18-1. So the market's quite a fun market. This, I think it's a good race.
so there are 4 places on offer. What's your each play in the race?
I am going to go for If the Cap Fits and Vindication. I'm allowed 2 here because it's a big field. Each way, both of them.
Okay, very well. Paul?
Well, I'm allowed 2 here, aren't I? Not in the paper because that's already gone. But I'm going to go same as Tom, third wind and DL Kerr.
Okay, and Tom, you are very much in agreement.
Yeah, I like those, and I'll be sniffing around the other one at 66-1, Decor Irlande. I might be
40 to 1.
in running or whatever they do. They call that stuff.
Okay, very well. And I think the Stayers Hurdle form, the horses behind, Vindication and If the Cap Fits, I thought were interesting because neither of them, both back to fences over hurdles for the first time in that race. And I can't help but feel that with that run under their belt, they could do a lot more at bigger prices tomorrow. One more race to go then before we get on to the big one. That was the Stayers Hurdle. We're going to have to rattle through this as my producers told me I've got 2 minutes for this handicap chase. Happy Go Lucky is 7-2 favourite here. Cloudy Glen 8, Sam Brown 8, Spirit of the Games 8, Top Notch 8. Easier if they're all the same price. Snow Leopardess 10s, Fagan 11s, 12-1 bar. So we've got 2 minutes. You've got about 40 seconds, Tom, to tell us what wins this race.
I wish I could. Spirit of the Games, I'm going to back.
Okay.
Just £4 lower than when he was second in the Paddy Power. Watched him run in the Per Temps Hurdle last time. He was sort of held up out the back in a slowly run race where they all won from the front, and he sort of did best of those held up out the back. Don't think Harry Skelton got too busy with him up the running. I think he'll like 3 miles, good ground, so he'll do for me.
Very well.
How's that? 38 seconds I timed it
Very
at.
good.
It was until you said that. Spirit of the Games then.
I've given up on Spirit of Games ages ago, and
He'll win that.
he hasn't won for God knows how long. I'm quite interested in John B stepping up in trip for the first time. He ran over 2 mile 5 as a 4-year-old, dropped down to 2 mile when he won over fences first time last year, came back first time out this season, won pretty easily, strong at the end as well, going away. Was in the process of running a big race, giving chunks of weight to a well-handicapped rival last time. Fell 2 out. He's had a long break. We know he goes well fresh. Nice low weight. If he stays, he's a player.
Okay, yeah, Tom Lacey, another big chance in a handicap tomorrow.
And he won that race 3 years ago, with Thomas Patrick.
Yes.
Okay, there we go. Simon, what wins this race?
I feel quite like Sam Brown. Has been quite well backed. Hasn't run since the Colin Parker back in November time, but is a good horse and has been sort of missing engagements. But if he goes on the ground, I think he'll go well.
Okay, and Happy Go Lucky just seems to get backed every time he runs.
Yeah, and he's a couple of pounds higher. And
he deserves it.
He ran a
doesn't
blinder,
he?
yeah,
He ran an
absolutely.
absolute blinder, but he did have a hard race, I thought.
Yeah.
Did have a tick.
he was beaten by a 12-year-old.
And I will be doing exactly what I do every time he runs and backing Hold the Note to finish in the first 4 and watching as he has no chance for 90% of the race and runs on to collect the cash. So just got to keep it simple sometimes. With that in mind, let's keep it simple and move on to the big one then, the Grand National 2021. He's on the way at 5:15, although given what the starter was doing today, it might be 5:17 or 18 for the big one. Let's have a look. We've already talked to the jockey of the favourite, and Cloth Cap is currently in at 9-2 for the National tomorrow then. Burrow Saint is 8-1, bidding to give Connections a double over the fences. Manila Times is 8-1, first of the JP horses. Any second now, 9s, Kimberlite Candy 14s, Discorama 16s, Far Class 18s. And I think the price 20-1 bar just changed then, so money is already pouring in for horses apparently for the Randox Grand National 2021. Where do we start here? I guess we've got to talk. We'll have a quick word on Cloth Cap because we've already talked about him. Is he the right price?
Yeah, I mean, it's a wonder how big he'll go. I mean, you might get a point longer than 9-2, but at the end of the day, there's going to be some point where people are going to say, "Well, hang on a minute, this is a stone well in, and it's sort of 5-1, and he's a front runner. He's not going to get in front. He's not going to get any trouble in the race." Surely it's a case if he gets in a rhythm, he's going to be an awful lot shorter than 5-1 after 4 fences, isn't he? So he's, the way I'm playing it, and the way I played the same way when Tiger Wild won it for the second time, is whatever I lay out, I will be having enough to cover it all on Cloth Cap, because he's, if he does take to the fences and gets into a rhythm, he's going to be extremely hard to beat, isn't he?
He's absolutely the right favourite, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. You cannot argue with that. There are very strong candidates below it, as we know. An Irish national winner in Burrow Saint. You've got Any Second Now that can win a Kim Muir and a Grade 2 over 2 miles. Similar profile, you could say, to Ted Walsh's Papillon, who was second in an Irish national and then won a Grade 2 over 2 mile before going to the national. And the list goes on, but we better let somebody else talk about some of them as well, because I could just carry on and on for 20
Well, there are 40, Paul. We can all say talk about a few.
We'll try and get a word on all of them at the very least, even if it's just one word. But just a look at, like we're talking about Cloth Cap, 10 of the last 12 winners of this making their first start in the race, which is very different, as Tom was saying the other night, to how it used to be. 19 of the past 24 were 8 to 10 years old. The last 5 were 8 or 9 years old. So Cloth Cap does squeeze into the profile of the new national winners, that's for sure. But then a lot of them do. In the course of since the prices went up and the field has been decided, have there been any big moves?
Yeah, there's been plenty of money for a lot of horses. I mean, Cloth Cap looks like it might drift a bit tomorrow. I had a chat with the traders, and they felt that some of the it's a fantastic market to watch during the morning actually, where the money comes for, and also which of the because there's a huge recreational spread of money which drives some of the prices down. Cocktails at Dawn 2 years ago was the worst result by a country mile at 100-1 because the name appealed to those once-a-year punters. So it does shape the market, and we're already seeing Sub Lieutenant being the most popular horse. Why? Mr. Malarkey's the second most popular horse. Taking Risks, the third one. Those are the early vibes for popular horses amongst those recreational punters, which will see those prices shortening. Cloth Cap could go off. Some of the traders think it could be an 8-1 chance, 8-1 the field at some point tomorrow. James Knight, our senior trader, he's not quite so sure. He thinks it might sort of stop at around the 6-1, but it starts to become quite backable at that price. We've talked about.
That's right. Yeah, there's a point that it's gonna. There's a point where people are going to say, "Hang on a minute, this is." And
if you're going to have 4 or 5 bets, as most of us do, that may well be that win bet, won't it?
You went 8-1. What, 6 places was it?
6 places, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, we're 6 places. I should mention the offers actually. We've failed. Our big jump offer is fail to finish. If your horse doesn't finish a race, you get your money back as a free bet up to a tenner. Now, the important thing to note, given a lot of people will be having multiple bets, that's on your first bet on the race. So clearly, you have to decide when you place your first bet. That's the one you'll get the money back off with Coral. But obviously, it's one of those races where there potentially can be a fair few non-finishers. And also, just to mention, best odds guarantee. We're best odds guarantee now for tomorrow's racing, where some firms go best odds guarantee from the morning. So get the promotional stuff in early, because then we can concentrate on the runners. But some of the money, the horses have been backed in the last few days. In terms of serious money, Burrow Saint well backed. Manila Times, the Rachel Blackmore effect, despite the fact that the yard isn't exactly banging in the winners, very well backed. We think that could end up being one of the big liabilities just because of the media focus on Rachel Blackmore as well. And Any Second Now, very solid. Those 3, the Irish hordes looking to swamp Cloth Cap after the jump they've had and today, I think they're all going to be quite well backed, those Irish horses.
Absolutely, and again, backing Irish horses in handicaps is pretty much the way to go over the past few weeks here, Tom. And we were just saying that you used to love unearthing a big price winner in this race, but the race has changed. Have you changed your approach to how you look at it, trying to find a winner?
I don't have a clue, Ross. I don't have a clue where to start over the national fences these days. I literally, I think some horses take to it, some don't. Jumping is not I think it's all about stamina, and jumping isn't a problem. Whereas before I used to like sort of travellers that jumped well. Now I think it's exactly the opposite. I think you need stamina-laden horses that jumping doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So because you just don't know whether they're going to take to it. And I backed that Caribbean boy today. It hated every minute of it, didn't it, from the word go?
This is it. They can get unnerved by the look of the fences without realising that they're actually quite easy to jump.
Yeah.
Correct.
And once they get over them, I mean, some horses just plough through every single one and don't care, do they? You see them doing it.
Yeah, but you don't know that until you've had your bet.
You just don't know. The point I'd like to make about Cloth Cap, and it's a bit of a nerdy one, but I'm probably the only man in the world that's interested in going stick readings. But when he won at Newbury, it was 6.8. When he won at Kelso, it was 6 point something. It's 4.9 on the national course today, and they're putting 6 mils of water on it. It is going to be a lot softer than any of the races he's run in this season since he's shown his improvement.
Yeah.
That, to me, is a concern.
Okay.
That has to be a concern for Cloth Cap.
Well, it is. I mean, you've got 40 runners and he's 9-2. Yeah, absolutely. You might take a chance if he was still double figures, but okay.
That has to be a concern for me. So I'm looking to get. I mean, look, everyone knows about him. He's a stone well in. You look at the Whitbread weights now. He's getting £4 off Clandaise Obo, who won the Grade 1 by distance earlier in the week. He's really, really well handicapped. You won't get many better handicapped horses than him in any race. But the ground's an issue for me, so I want to take him on. And you can. I don't know where to start looking at the other ones. You can make cases for nearly all of them.
Well, I'll throw a few at you. Obviously, Burrows Saint, interesting, a 6-year-old winner of the Irish National, and then 2 years later, and he's been cannily campaigned. Other Irish horses, any second now. Tell me how a horse who can win a Kim Muir and has a great chance of the National can bolt up in a 2-mile Grade 2 from a good horse last time out. I mean, he must have some engine.
Oh, he can run fast, can't he, Ross? That's as simple as that. I mean, he's a really good horse in his second now. I mean, I struggled to see him staying. I mean, I backed him when the weights came out, but I've had a good look at him again. And in a modern national, I think in an old-fashioned national, I think he'd have been perfect, where they sort of hunted around. Ruby Wolf said something very interesting the other day. Old nationals, you had to slow down for loose horses the whole time because there were so many loose horses around. You were chopping and changing and getting your breath back. Nowadays, nothing falls, nothing gets in the way. They take them out the way straight away. So it's helter-skelter from the word go, and you never get a breather in. And that would be my worry about him. A horse that showed that pace last time over 2 miles, I'd have to be concerned about him getting home. It's a real good stamina test now, and that would be my concern about him.
Yeah, I mean, very similar to. I mean, you think of all the big staying handicaps. You think I'm thinking Classic Chase at Warwick. You're thinking all sorts at Newbury, obviously that Cloth Cat won. A lot of tracks, Kempton, Ascot's. You get into that rhythm out in front, and they don't get anywhere near you. So what have we got that will be up there with the pace for sure?
Bristol de Mai.
All right, okay.
Bristol de Mai. What's wrong with Bristol de Mai?
I didn't say a word against him.
He gave a very fit Clandaise Obo a 2-length beating in a Grade 1 at the start of the season.
He did.
At his beloved Haydock. You've got to hope that he can carry his form elsewhere, but he's been deliberately kept really fresh this year. He's won twice, November, February, and now he comes here. And, it is a flat track with what's going to be plenty of cut in the ground by the look of it, with long straights. I mean, I think it's a perfect situation for him. Whether he can give, the best part of £20 to Cloth Cap is another matter. But he's a very good horse. If he gets in a rhythm, I think Darryl Jacob will be in for a really exciting ride.
Well, he's run twice at this track to RPRs in the 160s, so and he's got a lot of experience.
Yeah, and as an afterthought of a race as well. So
this is the first. Yeah, this is the first time he's clearly had a spring target that's been an actual target.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's the last couple of years, it's shall we go for the national or shall we go for the Gold Cup? Oh, sorry, we're going for the Gold Cup. Now it's just look right. We're going for the national. This is it. This is his go, and it's going to be hard to win one off a mark of 167.
Yeah,
but he's earned that mark, and I'd love to see him run well. I love the old boy.
Okay, so we've unearthed one of Paul's fancies there, putting that in the locker. That's Bristol de Mai. Simon, we haven't talked to you about this. First things first, what's your national record? Betting wise.
Never ridden in the race. Over the years, I'll tell you, I remember doing, Chris Dixon, Racing TV's Chris Dixon, studies a form like mad, both the Dixon brothers did. And he would do a bit of work for Coral. And one day I went up to him at the National. I said, come on, you must have been up all night doing the form study. I'd obviously not been up. I said, give me your 1, 2, 3, 4 for the National. He basically said, and he gave me the first 4 in the betting. I said, you're not telling me you spent 4 hours last night studying the form? So he said, I'll tell you one horse I kind of like, that Aurora's Encore. So, I mean, that was probably the last big prize winner. And so
could you ring him now?
The point was he didn't even tip it himself. It was one of those. That's almost the one you want. You're more interested when people study the form. Often they do gravitate to the front end of the market. It's almost that one you say, but what's another one at a big price? If they're forced to choose one, that's almost the most interesting tip because they've unearthed the most likely 50 to 1 or 66 to 1 winner.
The one that's just rattling around at you back.
Which I kind of look for. I'm sure. Listen, Tom and Paul, I'm sure are going to give us a couple of those later, but. I thought Yalarenki, front runner, did unseat in the Beecher, which isn't helpful. So I hope we don't know whether Yalarenki liked the experience or not, probably. But, we'll go from the front. Over 3 mile, 2.5 furlong and further, 9 runs. It's only been out in the first 3, I think, twice. One of them was 7th in the Gold Cup behind Albert Photo last year. Stays all day, Bryony Frost in the saddle. One of these days, we're going to have the first female winning jockey. And just because everyone's looking at Rachel Blackmore doesn't say it won't be Bryony Frost tomorrow on Yalarenki. But it's I just thought at a big price, bowl along, I thought he might go well.
Yeah, he's got absolutely the right. Similar to Bristol de Mai, he's a slightly older, classy individual who will be in the.
And although you think of him as a mud lover, he's got plenty of form on good soft ground. And actually, Tom's just pointed out the ground could be pretty soft.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's certainly been proper good to soft ground this week, hasn't it, Tom? Okay, so we've unearthed Bristol de Mai for Paul. Simon's got one with Yalarenki then. What's your first one on the table, Tom?
Magic of Light, Ross. Second to Tiger Roll 2 years ago. I just thought she was. Paul said yesterday when he watched Pink Eyed Pedro run around the national fences, he spotted something where he absolutely loved it. Well, Magic of Light was exactly the same. She winged the fences. She took off apart from in front of the chair about 3 yards closer than she should have and landed on top of it. Lost about 5 lengths momentum. Must have taken the wind out of herself and was still charging home at the finish. I think she's had 1 run over the national fences and over marathon trips, and she excelled herself. I think that form, the Tiger Roll Rathvinden form, is as good as this race. I really do. I think that was a really strong national. They were miles clear of anything else, of all the other horses. I think she's going to run really well. Problem with her is that people are saying she's not in the same form she was now as she is then. Well, I'm not convinced about that. Jessica Harrington's horses have really struck a chord in the last few weeks. She's had loads of winners at Fairy House, at the big Fairy House meeting last weekend. She was last in the Mayor's Chase at the Cheltenham Festival, but that was clearly a warm-up run. And if you're prepared to wait for the video, she charges up the hill. I mean, she's a long way behind, but she really sprints up the hill, and she's going better at the line than any time she was during the race. I can just see her doing what she did 2 years ago and winging along out front and just running a massive race. As I've said a million times, she'll probably fall at the first fence now because I don't know whether a horse is going to jump well or not these days. But
she's going to be up there on the speed, though, isn't she? Based on all the known form.
She's got the perfect run style. She's got Robbie Power on this time. Paddy Kenny gave her a brilliant ride last time, but Robbie Power is a former national winning jockey. The stable's going well. She's just the one horse that I thought was expecting to be sort of quite fancied, and everyone's sort of gone off her.
Yeah. And
she's 25, 22 to 1 now. I just wasn't expecting her to be that big a price. And she'll be my number 1 at the moment because I just think that form, if she can run to that level again, she can't be out the first 3.
Yeah.
Okay, Magic of Light then, the main pick for Tom. This is, of course, live and interactive, and if any race that everyone has an opinion on, this is certainly it. So we'll get some comments in a second, but don't forget, if you are enjoying the show and you have enjoyed the show at Cheltenham and at Aintree, there is a £50 Amazon voucher if you fill in a survey. The link is at the bottom of this YouTube broadcast right now because, if you're enjoying Aintree, it might come back for other festivals, and you need to tell us that you want it to come back for other festivals because Simon writes the cheques and it goes directly to his email inbox. So there you go. So please do fill out that survey and let us know you want it back. We'll get some comments very shortly. My main one I thought was Any Second Now. I honestly, this horse, I mean, I really fancied Castle Grace Paddy last time out in that race, and this horse made mincemeat of him. He brought some really good form into it, and obviously that Kim Muir form. I kind of know what Tom means about the stamina test, but again, the jumping speed and the quality of runners that win this race now. He looks ready to peak, I think, at 9 years old, and like you said, he's got the right connections as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can't argue. He's had a lovely prep, and they've done it before with Papillon coming back all the way back in trip. And when you've got a horse with speed and stamina, I mean, they tend to be the really good horses at times. I mean, Corto Star was winning Tingle Creeks and Gold Cups and that sort of thing. If you've got that variation in ability over trips, it's a big plus.
Well, we've seen Chantry House today, for example, go from 2 to 2.5 to 3 and look ever better.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you do get certain horses that can handle any type of trip, and he might be one. He might be one of them. I mean, this is an extreme trip, but Desert Orchid won an Irish National and a Whitbread as it was back then. So.
Tiger Roll won a triumph.
Yeah, exactly.
Won a Kim Muir as a 7-year-old.
And Cause of Causes won a Greatwood Hurdle and almost won a national, didn't he? So it's not impossible. I'm still sticking with a stayer for my second selection though.
Okay, what is it?
And that is a horse that's been round here twice and finished 4th and 5th, and that is Annabelle Fly, who was 4th. To Tiger Roll and 5th to Tiger Roll, and he was off 159 and 164, having run 3rd to Native River in the Gold Cup and 2nd to Albion Photo in the Gold Cup. And last year he was being primed purely for the national. He'd run a really good warm up over hurdles, and then obviously COVID intervened, so he's had to wait a year. He's only run once this year, and he was last in the Bobby Joe, but he wasn't beaten that far. He was 14 lengths behind Burrow Saint.
The Bobby Joe looked like everyone got together and said, "Let's run our national horses for a prep." In
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's the case.
He's well handicapped.
That's what the race is for. He's down to 155 in here.
Oh yeah.
He might be 4th or 5th string according to the betting as far as JP McManus is concerned, and Dennis O'Regan's on board. Dennis O'Regan gave Black Appalachia an absolute cracker the year he got beat by Tony McCoy on.
Don't push it.
The name of it. Don't push it. That's it. Yeah, don't push it. Yeah. So I can just see him running really well again, and he's a strong stayer.
He's you were saying about hold the note earlier. He's the quintessential. You're watching out for him running on. Aren't you?
Exactly. He's a very strong stayer. He charged home for his placed efforts in both of those Gold Cups, and then came here and ran well. So I'd give him a shot as well. If you want something, you mentioned earlier on something at a massive price, then there's a horse right down the bottom that's like 100 to 1. Graham McPherson trains Ami Desbois. I mean, there's a chance he won't stay, but he's got some solid 3-mile form, and he's actually a horse that has run 2 of the best races of his life on his 2 runs this season, finishing 2nd to Double Shuffle. He was really well handicapped at his favourite course at Kempton in January, and then 2nd again to Bow Bay at Doncaster in decent races. 100 to 1, 6 places. I might chuck a couple of quid at him too.
Okay, that's a few from Paul then. Tom, what else is on your short list? Give us 2 more to go to war with, and why you're backing them.
Well, Keel's just nicked my ridiculous outsider, because I backed Ami Desbois yesterday at 125 to 1 for exactly the reasons that he said. I think he's been trained for the race. I think he might have beaten Double Shuffle at Kempton, but for a mistake at the last. He's normally a really good jumper, and the last time was just a warm-up run for this. I think he'll run really well. And the other one, believe it or not, is the other woman jockey in the race, Tabitha Worsley. I think Sub-Lieutenant has a chance.
Since when was Keelan Woods a woman?
No.
Sub-Lieutenant, he's moved on to.
Sub-Lieutenant, I've moved on.
Oh, you moved on. Sorry, mate. You said the other woman jockey in the race.
Someone tap
him. No, it's because Lily Pinchin rode. I was getting confused. I thought you thought Lily Pinchin was still on Ami Desbois because she rode it once.
That's all right.
I dig myself out of this hole now, please.
No, I feel better.
Sub-Lieutenant. Why Sub-Lieutenant?
Away you go.
I feel better that it's not just me that's messing things up. So, Tom, you were telling us Sub-Lieutenant.
Yeah, well, he's got some class back form, hasn't he, Sub-Lieutenant? I thought he's run really well into good races at Ascot. Hasn't been disgraced at all. He's been staying on in both of them. He ran well. Didn't he run well in a Topham here one year? Did he? I can't remember.
He did.
And Tabitha's won the won the Fox Hunters on Topwood a few years ago. I just thought he's going, because of the small yard he's from, because of the jockey he's got, he's a much, much better horse than some of those around him in the weights on back form. And he's just the type of horse that could run really well. So I have thrown a few quid at him and Ami Dwaybois from those at big prices, just because I think they're the wrong price, really. There's horses that are much worse chances than them, much shorter in the market.
Very well.
One I don't really like, Ross, is Manila Times. I'm loath to say this about any horse trained by Henry de Bromhead and ridden by Rachel Blackmore, but I don't quite see it.
No.
I know he's won in those, he's very running well in those Leopardstown handicap, but he's gone up in the weights. He didn't win them.
Yeah.
He'll get outstayed, I thought, Tom.
It doesn't look like he stays, does he?
I don't know. I mean, he's got a lot. I don't know. He's got a lot to prove for me, and I just wonder whether he's the one that right at the top of the market. That I know there'll be a lot of money for Rachel Blackmore because of the thing she is, but wouldn't be surprised if the exchanges wanted to get hold of on Manila Times and push him out to a double-figure price for sure.
I was quite interested in Milan Native here. Second time after a wind-up. I mean, this horse also won a Kim Muir and beat Cloth Cap comfortably in that. Was giving him £4 that day. This horse then beat Discorama. He's run against Manila Indo. He had a bit of an interrupted prep, but I watched him at Cheltenham. He was quite well backed into 13-2, but this was clearly the aim. It was clearly his first run since December. It was a bit of a spin round, I think, to get him fit and well for this. He's got Jamie Codd on board. He's an 8-year-old who's got some really classy form. And again, that if you're winning a Kim Muir comfortably at Cheltenham as a 7-year-old, you're going to go well a year later at Aintree.
Bit of overweight, possibly. You care about stuff like that? I don't think Jamie Codd's done 10.6 since he was about 14.
Yeah,
he does 10 Evans, the lowest I've ever haven't seen him done for a couple of years. So, there's a possibility. I don't know. He might have wasted away and got to 10.6. There's a possibility he might be carrying a bit of overweight. But
I'm more of I'm a bit like you, Tom. I'm more of a speed than a weight man, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't worry too much about that.
We've got a few social comments in here. I'm sure everyone at home has their own fancy for the National. Let's have a look what you viewers fancy for the big one then. Sparks44. Anyone else do 25p TriCast and hope they get lucky? I think you do £1 TriCast and hope you get lucky, Paul.
I do, yeah. I do forecasts and TriCasts in, at the festivals, all the handicaps, and basically all the races with where it's 5-1 the field or more.
I'm going to put you on the pressure, right? Now, off the top of your head, give us 4 horses to put in a combination.
I have 5. I normally do 5.
All right, have 5. Have 5. 5 it is.
Well, you can't leave.
No reason,
you can't leave
just
Cloth Cap, Bristol de Mai, Annabelle Fly, Burrow Saint, and Ami Dibwa. There you go.
Okay, Simon.
I'm going to give 5, have I?
5.
Cloth Cap, Kimberlite Candy, not one of the national, but great form over the national fences. Acapella Bourgeois, can't see why it's such a big price after that Bobby Joe performance. Yalarenki and Minella Celebration after a wind-up. Loves Aintree on the Marway course. A veteran, but I think he could go well at a huge price.
Yeah, I can see that. Tom, 5 for a combination TriCast?
Got to remember 5 horses, Ross.
You've got a computer in front of you.
Magic of Light, Ami Debois. I'll leave Cloth Cap out because I'm worried about the ground for him. Annabelle Fly, I'd throw in there. Kimberlite Candy might stay on for 5th. And Sub-Lieutenant.
Okay, very well. I'll go Burrow Saint, any second now. Mr. Malarkey, who I think has got the perfect run style. Milan Native. And I think 2A per me might run a big race at a huge price. So I think that was 5, wasn't it?
It was 5. I'd love to know how many we
we've
actually
done
covered.
13 or 14 horses there, and we'll probably get 1 in the first 4 between us.
Yeah, we probably won't get the winner.
Always what happens.
That's what we're going for. Well, a lot of people at home are going for their 1, 2, 3 as well. So let's see what people do think will be coming home in front. David Rigg, Talk is Cheap, beats Any Second Now and Cloth Cap. That is a wild shot for Talk is Cheap in the Denmark Silks. That's David Riggs, 1, 2, 3. Next up is just David. Maybe he's changed his surname and just gone in again with another. Kimberlite Candy beats Cloth Cap and Discorama. Kimberlite Candy, Cloth Cap and Discorama. Yeah, Kimberlite Candy loves these fences for sure. Any Second Now wins for Barry G to beat Mr. Malarkey and Cloth Cap. Well, I hope you're right about those front two.
That's you, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it, yeah. I'm Barry G on a weekend. William Brindle says Cloth Cap wins it and beats Burrow Saint and Manila Times. William, you just copied the first three. That's it. It's just a copy and paste job. Luke Salmon is swimming upstream with Mr. Malarkey, Burrow Saint and Cloth Cap. Yeah, it would be... the Tizzards, after having a terrible week at Aintree, to win the National would be quite a big story. Nick Dye goes for any second now to beat Manila Times and Far Class, of course, who I think we were all screaming home but ran into a Grade 1 horse at Cheltenham. So there's a few 1, 2, 3s. Good luck with those. Cyclops is, I assume, having one selection. He says, I would love Bristol Demai to win. If it beat my horse, I would still be happy. That's very nice for a...
Well, I hope he's backing it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Bristol Demai for Cyclops then. We've got another one here from Rich H. Says, tell Simon I'm opening a Coral account as we speak, thanks to the show.
Oh, lovely. Good old Rich. He lives next door to me. No, he doesn't.
That came from the producer just so we could do it again, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
You can do it.
And one more coming in. David Wallace says, great show!
Hey.
Keep it coming for every festival, please. There
Calm
we go,
it down,
David.
Calm it down. Some of us have got lives.
Every festival. You're not leaving. You're sat at home, Tom.
You've got your lighting sorted. You got your picture sorted.
We'll be. I've told him.
I want Padraig Brosnan back. I thought that was the best name so far. I liked it. I like that name, Padraig Brosnan. I want to be called that.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I could say that name easily. I can say your surname. But Padraig Brosnan, the Irish James Bond. So thanks everyone for watching. Yeah, like it is a great show. Rob, how long have we got left? I mean, we're over, but couple of minutes. All right, okay. We'll just say thank you. Just say thank you and all that. Well, I mean, let's mention a few that we haven't mentioned at smaller prices. Far Class, of course, said a 7-year-old, big question, but ran a big race at Cheltenham. Discorama, I feel like Discorama, again, he's 8 years old. I feel like he's been around in these kind of races for years.
Second in the National Hunt Chase as a 6-year-old. Hasn't run for ages, has it? Had a wind up since, was it last year? He hadn't run the season. Paul Nolan is a shrewd cookie. You know he'll produce him.
Yeah, I mean,
it's too far back. What do you think, Keels?
Yeah, well, he's a strong stayer, isn't he? I don't think he's ever been the hardiest horse, is he?
And taking risks.
Yeah, taking risks. Yeah, but you have to mention taking risks. I mean, here's another one. I put him up twice before Christmas. And he didn't run in either race, and
wins the.
And then I just completely ignored him, and he goes and wins a race at 40-1.
Well, I mean, the form looks good, doesn't he? He beat I Right, and one for the team was in there.
Yeah, I mean, he's a horse. He's won a Scottish National, and he might be 12, but he's in the form of his life as well, isn't he?
Absolutely.
Potter's Corner, Ross.
Yes,
what do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's got a Welsh National win to his name. He's got a virtual Grand National win to his name. You're not going to miss the Silks, Tom.
No, he got nice silks, hasn't he?
Absolutely.
I thought he was quite interesting. Christian Williams very dangerous, isn't he, when he targets the race?
He is
a good guy.
You get the kind of feeling a bit that he did miss his boat, though, didn't he, a little bit last year?
It's possible, but he's had a preparation for the race this time. He was prepared for the Welsh National and he won that.
Very true.
You know what I mean? Just the last hurdles run wasn't great, and he obviously had to miss Cheltenham, so that's the slight negatives, but dangerous for sure.
And just a quick mention for the Bobby Joe Chase. Acapella Bourgeois beat Burrow Saint, the long mile, 2A per me and Annabelle Fly.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be a huge surprise to see all 5 of those be involved in the finish. And like I said, just a quick word for 2A per me, who has been running some incredible races. I mean, back in October on good ground, 2nd and 3rd to the Storyteller in Grade 3 and Grade 1 company, and hasn't run on good ground since. The last time it beat Sub-Lieutenant in a Grade 2, and it won the Thyestes. The Troy Town, back in 2018 on good ground as well. That's 125-1, I think, or something thereabouts.
It's a huge price, that's right.
Third in the Bird Temps last year, wasn't he, over hurdles? Behind Sarda Burley, the Storyteller, and in front of Third Wind. That's pretty good form. So
basically, the two rank outsiders in the National, as we stand now, have been well tipped up here in Abbey du Devoir and 2A per me. This is like Pink High Pedro all over again.
Can't wait for them to.
There've been plenty of big price winners over the years, haven't they?
Not recently.
One more I mentioned is Give Me a Copper. Obviously, Sir Alex Ferguson had the treble on Thursday. I know there's no reason to back a horse, but this is a horse they always thought was going to be a Grand National type. He stays well. He doesn't look super fast, but Harry Cobham's a good jockey, and I think again I just thought he could run well. At a huge price.
Okay, well, that's half the field covered. I mean, there's so many horses we haven't mentioned. We could have not picked the first 10 home and the horses we've previewed. But that is the Grand National. It's that type of race. Everyone will have an opinion. And, I remember a few years ago, my mum ringing me for a tip and saying that she, my nan and my granddad and my sister had all picked one horse. They had the first 4 home and they just went on names. So it's that kind of race. But I hope you've enjoyed the show. I hope you've enjoyed it over the past few days. I hope you enjoyed it at Cheltenham as well. Like I said, we'll hopefully be back for the big festivals. I've promised that Tom will be back for Chester, for Newmarket, for the Dante Festival, 5 days at Galway and Goodwood. We've got it all.
Gerard Knight, that's right.
Air Gold Cup, you name it.
The Monday nights, yeah, I'll be here.
The music nights, yeah.
In fact, we're all moving into Tom's house to do the show until the end of time. But thanks so much, everyone, for watching. Thanks to Paul. Take a bow. There we go. Lovely stuff.
That's all you're getting. I'm tired now.
Thanks to Simon. Thanks to Tom. And thanks to Will and Rob, who have worked their backsides off producing this show over the past few days. I'll be back over there for Racing Post Live with Dave Orton and Keith Melrose tomorrow, where I'll mention the other 20 runners we haven't talked about. But gents, I've enjoyed myself. You enjoyed it?
Yeah, it was great fun.
Yeah, really good fun.
And Tom, you can go and have your dinner now.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Thanks for watching. Remember, gamble responsibly on the National tomorrow and the rest of the races at Aintree. This has been In the Know. Good night.